As you'll recall from the previous video, this app uses the Google Maps API to display map information on the screen. Now, the Maps API is not included for use with your app automatically. In order to create an app that uses the Maps API, when you first create the project, you'll select File, New, and then Other. And again, we'll choose Android Project here. You'll give your project a name. I'll call this one Maps Demo for now. Then you'll click Next, and you have to choose a version of the build target that has the Maps APIs as part of it, which would be any of the ones that uses the Google APIs. In our case for this app, we use the Google APIs for platform version 2.3.3, so I would check that off, and when I go ahead and finish building the project, it will then include in the Google APIs node the maps.jar file, which contains the libraries that you need for accessing Google Maps. So that's what we did when we initially set up this project. But there's a second step that you need to take, which is to specify these additional libraries that you intend to use in your app. And we do that here at line 7. Inside the application node, we have a nested node called uses library, and you specify the full package name of the library that you intend to use. And by default, what this is indicating is that the library is required for your app to function correctly. Now, you get an ancillary benefit out of that as well. If you place your app in the Android market, it will only be displayed to users whose devices have the Google Maps APIs installed on them. If they do not, they won't even be able to see your app and install it, which is good because this app won't work correctly without those APIs installed. So that's one of a couple of new features that we're demonstrating to you here in the app or AndroidManifest.xml file for this app. Now, a second new feature that we're using is a simple one here at line 10. By specifying the Android theme attribute for your activity element, you can change the look and feel of your application. For example, you might want your app to use a light background or a dark background, and there's various themes that help you with that. In this case, we're specifying a theme called No Title Bar. The theme is the black theme, no title bar, and basically what this is saying is to remove the app's title bar, which is where the app's name normally gets displayed, as you've seen in many previous apps. And we're doing this so that we can take advantage of more of the screen real estate to display the maps in the app. And finally, we have another key feature that we're using here in lines 21 through 26, the so-called uses permission elements, and these must be nested in the manifest element but outside of the other elements. And each of these specifies something that we would like to use that's provided as a service by Android. So for example, the uses permission element at line 21 here is saying that we want our app to be able to make network connections, socket connections, which it needs to be able to do to download the map information. At lines 22 through 25, we're indicating that we want our app to be able to access so-called find location data and mock location data. Find location data means we want the best possible location data we can get, which is GPS location data. And mock location data is for testing purposes. As we demonstrated in the previous video, you can use the DDMS perspective to load up GPX files that contain sample location data and submit them to your app for testing purposes. And then finally, here at line 26, we also specify the permission called wake lock. And this one's important if you want to be able to control the power management of the device. So for example, if I were to be building a map application for navigation purposes, I would want that app to stay on the screen so that the user can watch the screen as part of navigation. I don't want the device to suddenly go into sleep mode and therefore the user can no longer see the map on the screen. So in this case, I request the wake lock permission, which allows me to use the app's power manager, or the device's power manager, to specify in our case that the app should not, or the device rather, should not go to sleep while the app is in the process of tracking a route. And we'll show you how we use that programmatically in a subsequent video.